Go ahead.
The clicky thingy. To switch sides. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jorge Garcia from Smart World Connect, and we basically make smart city app stores, and we populate them with apps tailored to specific problems from the city that we're implementing the problems in. And it's our first time speaking to such an audience, so any kind of feedback or ideas that you might have will be greatly appreciated. And yeah, let's move on. Well, there's been many technology pilots implemented in cities, many trials, but they never move on too well, or the percentage of success is very low. And we believe it's mainly because there's no sufficient social engagement in these cities when implementing these kind of technologies. So that's the kind of approach that we're going for, a smart city app store which actually allows people to use the technology that's being implemented, understand it in a friendly way. Everyone has a phone on the pocket, everyone can use it, and just basically incorporate it to every part of your life. And we do this as the main focus point for the communication that occurs in all the stakeholders in the city, businesses, visitors, residents, and of course the city council, the bid teams, the district councils, and just give them a common focus point where they can all put their ideas in together, manage it, gather all the information. And of course, it wouldn't be a technology if it's not iterative, so we always learn and get feedback from our systems to make sure that we keep it up to date, make sure we implement all the improvements that people suggest, maybe even create new apps where people say that they're missing in the city. And the whole thing just creates real social and cost-saving benefits for cities and stakeholders. And mainly, every single bid team and council team that we've been speaking with mentions at least 5 or 4 of these problems on the right side of the screen: security, pollution, transport, health, energy, education. There's not a single council team or bid team that hasn't mentioned these issues. And there already exist kind of apps that are kind of tailored to these problems to solve them. And whether they're not created yet, you can always just create them. For example, the job one, there's obviously applications tailored for finding jobs. You post the vacancy that you're looking for, people post a profile, they get matched. Volunteering, it could be simple, just linking volunteering with one of the problems, for example, being health. Loneliness is apparently a major problem in cities. 75% of people over 65 claim to have felt lonely at some point in their lives. So if you link volunteering to this kind of response, you get a response from people feeling lonely, and you get someone that is willing to volunteer to go to these people, just spend some time with them. You just link both of them. It's not hard, and you get the problem solved. Others could be, for example, transport. Apparently, some case studies mention that there is a 30% of congestion in cities is mainly people looking for parking places, which is a crazy high number. And this could be solved with technology, just putting smart parking meters in the parkings in the city, just to know whether they're vacant or not. You could go on your phone, book them, pay for the parking spot, and then guides you to it. So there are all problems which could be solved with technology and put in a phone where everyone can just access it, actually make a difference. Not just have a technology that's never going to be used, but actually being able to integrate it in society, make sure that everyone's going to be using it. And of course, being in contact with local app developers so that you can keep improving on the apps that you already have, create some new ones that people suggest. But of course, this wouldn't be possible if they didn't have a strong ROI. And in order to do this, in order to do all this social engagement movement, you also need to have specific apps which increase revenue expenditure in the area. So the main aim is to make the stakeholders of the city, being the residents, businesses, and visitors, to spend a bit more time and money in the city. And we do this through special offers, a visitor app, which is essentially makes visitors spend more time in the city rather than just half a day, make it a full entire day. And it's crazy, but you can double their expenditure just by making them go around the city a bit more, a larger track, guiding through restaurants at the lunchtime, peak times. But this is only possible if you increase the awareness of the App Store, obviously. So our idea is to link it with the free Wi-Fi of the city. Whether you have it or not, we could also implement it. We have a good relationship with internet providers, which could implement Wi-Fi as well. So essentially, you get everyone to access the the App Store. And then that allows also to make push marketing. So when people are walking around the city using your Wi-Fi, they're about 50 meters away from Costa. They get a push notification saying, oh, you have a 2-for-1 in Costa. And also case study in relation to this, it says that 50% of redemption rate increase, just because this push notification is actually tailored, not just random advertisement that you get on your phone, but actually you're going to walk through it, you're going to see it, and you're going to remember, oh, I have a 2-for-1 for it. Why not? And it obviously provides the platform for the revenue-generating apps such as the smart parking. And well, just to mention a few other local apps and solutions that we have. We are currently working with our first bid team in relation to these problems, and we have, for example, a general waste management system, which basically puts a sensor in the bins of the businesses, and it tells you when they're going to be full. It tells you if they're full. It then guides the pickup collection to the bin in the easiest time, avoid traffic, and just essentially just reducing cost by 25%. Others could be the social care app. We were also working with a county council which was mentioning that they had a lot of problems with patients and not having enough rooms for them. So we basically link, just like Uber, linking people that actually have that are checked to be carers of people. You can link the people that need bedding and attention and caring to these people, and just make everything work essentially. Also happens with babysitting. So you have people that are CRB checked, and you just go on an app and you see which ones are like recommended by your friends. Just keeping it local, making sure everyone knows where to find the things. And this is essentially how it looks like. I will show you on my phone, but you probably wouldn't see it from here. So essentially you have your own icon. We have our company icon at the moment, but it could be any city icon or whatnot. It's just like the Apple iStore or the Google Play. You click on it, you have a list with the homepage, with the tailored recommendations for you, the different sections, the most popular apps, the categorized sections such as social apps, and obviously it's easy to download. You just get it straight to your phone. You have a section with all the apps that you've downloaded, which is very intuitive, not hard to use at all. And basically what we do is, in order to start from the first day, we connect the existing resources of the city. So this could be the Business Improvement District website, the council website, and just make it into a very easy to use app where you can, for example, report roads not in the perfect condition, pay your council tax, but just making sure that everything is in one place, and essentially just driving traffic into the App Store and the different apps. And then from then on, we build the different apps that the city requires. We implement the best ones available, and essentially just getting people behind it and getting everyone to use it is the most important area. And then once you get all those aspects right, you can move into a city roadmap. This is one that we're currently doing at the moment. Obviously, you have to start with a free Wi-Fi. The whole thing wouldn't work with free Wi-Fi. And then you move on to push marketing, smart city app stores, the smart waste management. We were pushed back a bit on the visitor app because it was a bit more expensive than what they had on the budget on the first term. So we pushed that onto the second one. But yeah, basically, it can be tailored completely to the depending necessities of the city. So they might say they want to move something up front, or maybe just delay something else. But completely up to them. And this is basically the overview of the whole thing. Being the city stakeholders can access this smart city applications from all around the world. City managers can access the best smart city solution apps. It's all cloud-based, obviously. There's no IT implementation taken part by the council bid teams. We have all the integration. We create a hub of data. You can be a smart city from day one. Easy introduction of major smart city solutions, which are not complicated to understand. Very straightforward. And obviously the local apps, which are continuously added according to the different necessities of the city. It encourages local app developer community, so you engage with them. You have access to all this open source data. You can see what the requirements of the different communities are. Essentially develop it pro bono, or we contact them and say, oh, we'll pay you this to develop a very specific app that your city needs. And as a whole, it's a great business model. It has a low cost setup and hosting fees, and a very strong ROI. Right now with the city that we're going with, we have a 4 times return on investment. And as a summary, you can just have your unique local apps into your smart city data, completely tailored to the city, bringing together the best of what you already have. So the different websites that you have, different platforms that you already own, and apps. Some cities that I've been speaking with already have visitor apps. They're just not completely satisfied with how it looks, so you can build upon that. Best global apps from all around the world, the best local ones, and obviously set your favorites and just keep them on your phone. Yeah, that's it. If you have any feedback, questions, or ideas, I would greatly appreciate them.
Yeah, I recently did a project which was basically the apps library for the NHS, and one of the big issues for that was the assessment process to make sure apps were both secure and of quality around things. How does that happen here? How do you make sure the apps that get put on your library are quality apps for that local? How's that done?
Unless you completely trust the local community of developers, you have to put some sort of barrier where the apps go through you first.
Right.
So you need to check whether they're acceptable or not. You wouldn't want just a random app that no one's going to use.
So you've got an assessment process?
You would have, yeah. Especially with the bigger apps where you want a good result.
How do you estimate the resourcing for that? Because one of the things we get, the resourcing for an apps assessment process got quite big, quite expensive, quite quickly. How do you manage that?
Well, that completely depends on the app. We do all the finances beforehand to make sure that we know how much everything's going to cost. So for the main ones, I do have a couple of costings on top of my head. The visitor app, for example, very expensive one to do well. You can do a random one, not too good. No one's going to use it. But to do a very good one right now, we're moving around 100,000. So we know all the costs before actually embarking on it.
Have you implemented this in any cities yet?
No, we're currently doing it with our first one.
Hi. Two thoughts, really. First of all, I'd like to get a sense of how you cultivate citizen trust, how you enable people to feel like this is something that they can trust you to manage for them, especially senior citizens, people who might not have internet connectivity, or indeed people who have just general population who have seen a lot of what's going on at the moment, the various data security scandals, etc., and who are thinking, 1 minute, there's another bunch of people who want to hoover up a ton of our data. Why should we trust them? So yeah, I'd like to get a sense of how you intend to cultivate and maintain trust. And number two, the push marketing.
Can I say that one first, so I don't forget what I want to say, and then go back to that one?
Awesome.
Well, obviously, everything's going to be GDPR compliant. We're going to make sure that everything's disclosed properly. We don't keep any data that we shouldn't have. And in order to tailor it to the senior citizens, it's a very good point. They're not very familiarized with the internet. They don't use it too much. So it's mostly about getting the people around them using it, making sure that everyone around them is using it, and then they eventually be pulled into it. But you always be quite hard to get the senior citizens.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's about a third of an answer. Maybe it deserves a bit more thought. I'm sure there's a lot more to unpick there. Figure out what the different user communities are going to want to see to make them trust you, to gain their interest, and to gain a sense that yours is the application hub that they should be looking to. But anyway, it's just a thought, really.
I can get back to you on that one if you want.
Sorry?
I can get back to you on that one afterwards.
Second thought, push marketing. You mentioned, as an example, Costa.
Yeah.
I'm very much aware that Costa is of a genus of very large scale businesses, national, international scale, who already do a lot of their own marketing in digital formats. And in a sense, they're not the ones who need it. Local independents, small stores, they're the ones who are really desperately in need of this kind of marketing. So I'd be keen to get a sense of how you both attract them onto the platform and enable them to do more marketing in a way which is positive for them in terms of footfall and expenditure, but also in terms of their marketing spend, which is always going to be a lot more limited necessarily than what you can get off of big national chains.
Well, that's a bit of a tricky one because it is available to everyone. However, it kind of depends on the city as well, whether they want to put a kind of bonus to be the #1 push marketing notification sort of thing. But at the same time, it's also going to be tailored to different people. So as you download apps, it's going to start learning about you in a natural manner. Just know your preferences. It's going to start knowing whether you're a boy or a girl. It's inevitable. And age as well, demographic. So essentially, you can start tailoring local hairdresser to someone. But yeah, it depends on the city completely.
Right. And how do you make sure there's very clear customization by the user for the kind of notifications they want to see? Whenever I hear about this kind of thing, my mind immediately goes back to Minority Report. I don't know whether anybody's seen that movie, but there's a moment where Tom Cruise is walking through a shopping mall, and the second that he looks at a billboard, the billboard's reading his iris and flagging up adverts for the person the billboard thinks he is. But that's, I think, going to be a fairly dystopian model of the kind of direction the tech can take, and the way that things are looking at the moment. There's an increasing awareness that we need to see a lot more citizen control, a lot more democratic, transparent control over how this data is used. And to me, that means there's a lot to unpick, there's a lot to analyse, and really that there needs to be a lot more customised control in this, rather than feeding things at people and then taking the data to reinforce that.
Mm-hmm.
More a sense of you can volunteer your data or you can't, etc. Anyway.
Yeah, it is optional. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a complicated process, which I could get back to you on that if you want afterwards.
Thanks.
I have a question about the scope. Is the product a platform, an app store,
Yeah.
for third-party apps, or are you also selling the
Both.
app development service? And is the platform therefore the loss leader to where your real business model is in selling the app development, design development, and hosting service?
It's both. We have the platform where we're going to be getting all the third-party development. We're going to be contacting with we're going to start contracting developers as well for ourselves, start making the different apps which are going to be required for the city. So it's a bit of a mixture.
And the apps, are they hosted on the App Store or Google Play?
Yep.
Are they so what you're hosting is a reference point description, and so you cover
To make sure
the-
that every single app
you
from
cover
the city is in one
discovery
place.
aspect of the life cycle of engaging with an app. So you do the discovery, and then you link out to
Yep.
the website or the download from the App Store, depending on what device you've got.
Mhm.
I like, obviously see the value in a large number of the use cases that you described. Quite a lot of them seem to touch on sort of public service use cases rather than just commercial ones, like sort of connecting volunteers with people who are lonely, etc. I wonder if you've seen the Government Digital Services guidelines on mobile experience, which basically says don't build apps. And that if you build your service using responsive design, if you open up your data, you shouldn't actually need to have an app at all. And so whether there's any particular apps in your experience that required, or any use cases in your experience that required there to be an app, or if actually all of this stuff could just be done with responsive web design.
I mean, it could be done with a responsive website, but the way that the user interface happens with an app is the way to go in our belief.
But not in the GTS.
Yeah.
So, what you've talked about there is a lot to do with promoting the existing business models and increasing the footfall, increasing the traffic, increasing the expenditure within a city. To what extent do you go into changing or building up in any way the community within that city, actually creating social or cultural change? And so, for example, there's the resilience movement with an emphasis on local currencies, so that if there is an existing thriving local currency in an area, that area is more resilient to economic fluctuation nationally and internationally. Are there any things you've thought about like that, where what you're proposing here could actually not just promote what already exists, businesses that already exist, the way they do business, but to change and to well, I hope make better the culture and community within cities?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean by the question.
So, well, so look at local currencies example. Is there anything you've looked at to do with local currencies and maybe promoting those within cities? You're only working with one city at the moment, is that right?
Yeah.
So I guess it depends whether they have one and whether they're trying to promote it.
We haven't thought about that, but it'd be interesting.
And with your platform, what are you doing that would encourage the formation of communities around particular areas of interest that would build up a city in a particular way?
Well, just solving specific issues from every single person, and that they can actually give feedback of what they want, so eventually everyone can be satisfied.
Okay, so there's a kind of a forum built into it in
Yeah,
the App Store.
Feedback report basically.
Right.
Okay, maybe one more question.
Have you done any market testing? You know, we had a very interesting presentation on where you interview people to find out what they think of this kind of innovation or that kind of innovation, or what they want in terms of service. Have you done any kind of market testing, demand assessment before you set up this project?
I'm convinced we have, but I'm not the person that's done it, so I could link you with the person that has, if you're interested. I'm sure they've done some research behind it, a market test and everything.
So you come to an evening about public engagement and you don't know how you engage the public?
Not entirely. I'm relatively new to the company. My boss couldn't make it and I volunteered.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Jorge. So, one more talk, Tim?
Yeah.
Let me just reset the video.
Cool. Can I have the clicker?